I guess just a little recap of the season. I would say this. I don't view this season as a failure. I do not. Did we reach our ultimate goal? We did not. But this season is not a failure. It is extremely disappointing. I feel like after a slow start, our team regrouped, put ourselves back in a good position, had a really good stretch after coming off the bye week and the All-Star weekend. We struggled again, but the team's become pretty resilient and put ourselves back in another good position where we were competing for the division title. And I rarely bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up today because it's real and it's important. And I think our players and our coaches deserve a lot of credit because they're fighting with one hand tied behind their back because of these cap restraints. And we don't apologize for it. It's fine. We're fine with it. But I think our players and our team have done a fantastic job in just ignoring that and just kind of moving on and playing hockey. So disappointing in the end, 100%. I'm very disappointed, but I don't view this season as a failure. Our team played well. Back-to-back 100-point seasons. I think it's we have two of the best seasons that this franchise has ever had. And, winning's hard. It's hard. And we're working towards it. I think a lot has been made. There's been this narrative out there right now that the Wild can't get past the first round. They can't get past the first round. And I can understand the frustration, but there are a small handful of players who have been here for a lot of that, and most of them are new. That's not, in my mind, that's not the narrative of this team. We have a lot of new players. We have a lot of young players that are just getting going, and they weren't part of that. We're going to write our own narrative, but that's not the narrative for this team. And I understand it is frustrating, but I refuse to hold our players that are new here responsible for what's happened in the past. So, that being said, we're going to move forward and keep trying to get better and continue to try to build a team that can compete for a championship. And I think we're doing a lot of good things on and off the ice, and one day we'll get there. So I guess that's my take on the season. So I can open it up for questions now.
So Bill, that said, how do you get this team over the hump when the same?
What hump do you want? What hump do you want us to get over?
To get past the first round.
Why?
I mean,
What, are they going to? And I'm not trying to be a smartass, Mike. They're not going to put our name on the Stanley Cup to get to the second round.
Well,
they're not going to give us a ring. But you know what? That's not our goal. Our goal is not to make it to the second round. Is it going to feel any better? It's not.
Well, to get to the Stanley Cup, you have to get to the second round. So let me ask you this.
So what are you going to write?
Let me just ask you this. Last year, your power play and your penalty kill killed you in the playoffs. This year, your power play and penalty kill killed you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Last year, most of your players did not come through in the playoffs. This year, yet again, your core players. So how do you fix that with the cap restraints that you just mentioned with one hand tied behind your back?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to fix it because we're down $14 million next year, and that's fine. I think we've done a pretty good job of putting a damn good team on the ice with these restraints. So I don't know how it's hard because it is disappointing that we haven't gotten past the first round, but that's not the goal. Yeah, it would be nice. It'd be great. It'd be awesome to get to the second round. It would. But that's not what we're building towards here. We're not. I think that's your narrative. That's what you guys write about. We're trying to build something bigger than that. And sometimes there's pain involved. You know, I think if you see a lot of the championship teams, they've gone through some pain. Look at Tampa Bay. They didn't make the playoffs every year. They went to the conference finals and they didn't make the playoffs. Like, there are ups and downs. It is a struggle. It is hard. It is hard to, but you know what? We've made the playoffs 3 years in a row now. And 2 of those years are with massive cap hits, dead space. So when you talk about getting over the hump, or like, I don't know, I think our team's played pretty well. And hey, look, we play good teams in the playoffs too. They're trying to win too. And yeah, you know what? We've had our struggles. Special teams have been a struggle. You know what? Our PK was top 10 this year. You know, did it let us down in the playoffs? Yeah, it did a bit. And you know what? Our scoring went dry. And we don't expect that. I mean, we had a real good penalty kill this year and real good power play. Like, it happened. It's disappointing. Like I said, I'm not up here trying to say we did great and we did all this good stuff, but you know, it's disappointing.
Bill, what stood out to you the most watching that series, and just the difference between the two teams, and that it was some reoccurring issues that bothered you in the end again?
Yeah. I think that's the thing that bothered me, is that there are reoccurring issues, and you know, we're still learning. Like I said, it's hard, but we have to get better in certain situations, you know, and you know, we took too many penalties, and when we did, we struggled on the kill. You know, we didn't have our top guys scoring. You know, it's tough. We lost an incredibly valuable player in Eriksson Ek. You know, when he took that shot in Pittsburgh, and where we sit up watching the games, it was like a deflated feeling, because you knew it was bad, and he's just so important to us. And that was a really big loss. I think the injury to Kirill, I don't think the injury was an issue, but you know, I think him being out for a month, you don't just jump right back in and it doesn't matter who you are. It takes you a little while to get going, and I think for him to get to really get back into that rhythm, back into the you know, the game shape stuff, it has an effect on you. So you know, those are tough things, you know. It's frustrating.
You mentioned the cap hits, and I know you're not going to make an excuse for them, but
Yeah.
Can you be the team you want to be with those cap hits, or do you have to get through these next 2 years before you can be a team that can legitimately contend?
Well, I think we'd be a better team without them, like with adding different players with that money. And like I said, we'll get there. But I do think we made some pretty good moves at the deadline and added some guys that were good players for cheap, and that's what we're going to have to continue to do to manage this whole thing. But you know, anything can happen. I think maybe I think differently than a lot of people. Maybe people think I'm in la la land thinking that we can win and this and that, but I just always think we can win. And I refuse. Hey, look, honestly, those cap hits, yeah, they affect us. But I'm fine with that because we've been a good team. It's just a matter of putting it together at the right time, I guess, like our playoffs.
For Dean or Bill, we talked to a few of the players yesterday that were injured. Are there any other notable injuries for players going
Yeah,
into the
I just
offseason?
wrote it
Anyone
down,
that
yeah.
will require surgery? Or
Goudreau's going to have surgery. He had like a abdominal injury, and that's been going on for 4 months that he's been playing with that. Eriksson Ek had surgery last week. Hartman was injured in game 1. Couldn't play game 2, and then he was playing on an injured knee. Zuccarello was like a high groin, and obviously Shaw. And I think I'm not missing any.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Bill, oops, sorry.
That's all right.
You had mentioned growing pains and that you were building to make a true contender team. Does that then look like, okay, you missed the playoffs one year and that's going to have to be okay? Not to lower your expectations by any mean, but looking at it from that perspective, I mean, because that would be something that hasn't happened here for quite some time. I mean, is that what it might look like, especially the next year or two with those cap hits?
It's not what I'm going for. I mean, no, look, you know what? Craig and I have talked about this at length, and even while I was interviewing for this job, and quite frankly, neither of us had time or the stomach for a rebuild, and we felt we were good enough to kind of do it on the fly, and I think we're doing a good job of that. I think we've kept all our picks and things like that. We've got some really good young players in the system that are they'll be here soon. And I think they'll help. I think, but it honestly, I wish I could kind of speed things up and, get some of these kids here now. But, no, I don't want to miss the playoffs. Yeah, that's not my goal. And I know it's not Dino's goal. And it's definitely not the player's goal. That, I always say general managers and ownership, they are the ones that want to rebuild. Coaches and players, they don't care about that stuff. They just want to win. They just want to coach, and they want to play, and they want to win every night.